Good morning, everyone. At the outset, I'm thankful to the organizers of AIC 2021 for this virtual meet. I'm Dr. Rohit Bang, and with your all consent, I would like to present this study, which is a long-term graft survival in a cases of penetrating keratoplasty versus DALK or deep enterolamellar keratoplasty. This is nil financial disclosures. A brief history as such, we all know that in 1906, the Zeem, who was the one who had first performed a corneal transplant, and obviously it was a full thickness corneal transplant that he had gone ahead with. Subsequently, Alshnik in 1920 reported a clinical series of corneal transplants, and then there was subsequently something called as partial PK or partial penetrating keratoplasty, and what he meant by that was a lamellar keratoplasty. Filato, he reported 800 grafts from 1920 to 45. So the purpose of the present study was to retrospectively analyze long-term graft survival in a cases of a penetrating keratoplasty versus deep enterolamellar keratoplasty. How did this present study go about? It was the primary grafts of DALK or deep enterolamellar keratoplasty, which were around 114, and a penetrating keratoplasty, which were 187, performed for optical indications that were retrospectively analyzed. This is a long-term study, and the time span that that was considered was almost around 10 years that we had been following the patients with us. The primary outcome measure that was seen was only the graft survival time. So we were focused on the clarity of the graft. We all know that a lot of other parameters can be seen, but then what we were focused for this present study was the graft survival. And the Kaplan-Meier survival plots were used with a Mantel-Cox log rank test that were used to compare the curves. This is a small like photograph. What we had, something what we call is as an antique piece of a watermelon plug or the square grafts that were used in the initial days before the circular grafts had become a by default as such. Coming to the results as such, the 10-year survival rate was 93.9% or close to 94% for a deep enterolamellar keratoplasty and 72% for PKP. The post-op complications obviously were higher for PKP as compared to DALK, like a glaucoma, which was around 29.3% for a PK as compared to 11.6% for a DALK. The allograft rejection stands around 16.6% for a PKP and only 1.7% for a DALK. And epithelial problems because of surface issues, which were 10.4% for a PKP and 5.5% for a DALK cases. The rate of graft failure attributable to the rejection was 36.7% for PKP, while only 5.9% for a DALK, and the endothelial failure was around 36.7% for a PKP and 5.9% for a DALK. As you can see, all the complications were lesser in the cases of a DALK, as it's a surface procedure and we are not going right inside the entry chamber as compared to the PKP. Now, this is a diagram which shows the graft survival. In a DALK cases, it was around, you can see 93% at the end of 10 years, while in a PKP, it is around 72%. Now, going further into the results as such, as you can see, the blue one depicts the glaucoma, the saffron one, the epithelial issues, and the gray one, the allograft rejection episodes. In the cases of a DALK, you can see that the issues were lesser, around 11% for a glaucoma, around 6% epithelial issues in the cases of a DALK, and only around 1 or 2% allograft rejection in case of a DALK. As compared to PKP, you can see the glaucoma was close to around 30%. Similarly, the epithelial issues were around 11 or 12%, and allograft rejection stands around 16%. Now, the severe complications of PKP, right from the initial days, right from our fellowship, we had seen that it could lead to a very frequent endophthalmitis from a retained suture material and expulsive hemorrhage from even a mild or a blunt trauma also. Now, this is just to highlight how quiet the eye is in a cases of a DALK, where you have got a hydrops also, where you can do a manual DALK and the entry chamber remains quiet as such. Now, just to enumerate the few advantages of a DALK, there could be a lesser chances of a rejection as the endothelial is not replaced, longer graft survival, as you can see in the present study. The globe integrity is better, and this is a faster visual rehabilitation as suture removal can also be expedited. On the other hand, disadvantages of PKP could be compromised globe integrity, higher chances of graft rejection and a failure, obviously secondary glaucoma, longer visual rehabilitation, and early keratinogenesis if the patient is phakic. So to conclude, the 10 years graft survival for primary DALK was superior to that of a PKP. The primary DALK, it results in a significantly less postoperative complications and obviously lower rates of a graft rejection. And study strengthens the case in a favor of a performing DALK or a PKP whenever we have a suitable patient with a functioning endothelium. Thank you.
So since the presentation is over, if we have any questions from the judges, questions from the judges.
Dr. Rohit, what was the rate of endothelial rejection in your patients with DALK?
Endothelial issues were seen in around 1.2% of the cases.
Because it is very rare in DALK,
Yes,
because the
yes,
endothelium is the patient's own.
Yes.
So it's invariably the stromal rejection which leads to the endothelial rejection in DALK patients.
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
never the primary endothelial rejection. Anybody else wants to ask?
A very good morning to everyone. I would like to ask Rohit, nice study and a long-term follow-up. You didn't mention about the rates of infectious keratitis in PKP or in DALK if it had happened.
Ma'am, in cases of a DALK, we never had any as such an infectious keratitis. We did had a sutural infiltrates or immune infiltrates, and the epithelial issues that I had tried to mention in cases of cases of PKP, the epithelial issues were secondary to the infectious keratitis that we had. So I had mentioned the epithelial issues around 11% in the cases of PKP.
Okay, and regarding the graft survival, how did you, what all parameters were used to see the long-term graft survival?
Ma'am, like I initially said, it was only the graft clarity that we were trying to see in these cases. Now, if we keep on like best corrected visual acuity or astigmatism, a lot of other parameters can be studied. But for the sake of this study or to keep it simple, the graft clarity was the only thing that we were looking for, as it was a very long-term study. And we didn't had every patient that we had operated, we didn't had a long this follow-up. So wherever the patient was accessible and was in a touch with us, we were looking for only the graft survival or clarity of the graft as such.
So what was it, a photographic documentation like in the long term? Because different people might take graft clarity to be like different sorts of grading. Like somebody can call it a graft clarity some grade, and some other person might quantify it to be something else.
Yes, ma'am. It was a photographic documentation of a patient whenever he had reported to us in a serial follow-up.
Okay. And no endothelial cell counts monitoring were done in the long run, is it?
Endothelial cell count monitoring was done, but primarily what we were looking here was a graft clarity. So I had not tried to emphasize about the endothelial survival here. Because comparing endothelial survival was not the primary objective of this study.
Okay.